Hey, what's going on, everyone? Hope you're having a happy holidays and enjoying the fresh wipe. I had a great discussion with a friend of mine leading up to the wipe on how to successfully get started, and it includes all the nuanced things to remember and consider. It's a long watch, but it's packed with some awesome tricks to dominate, and I hope you enjoy right now. I don't know if you heard this like side note from Nikita, but one of the things right now is, or one of the changes with the wipe is that you are actually going to be overweight at the 35 mark instead of the 40.
Yeah, that's a big change.
It is a big change because your ability to actually get out of the raid or to be able to benefit from putting bodies down, especially juicers with very heavy equipment. At what point are you exiting raid after only killing 2 people and then being like, all right, I know I'm at capacity, basically, especially without SJ6s or some sort of stim on deck. Which is very rare early wipe, right? You know, nobody's
it's not
rocking
it's rare. It's you don't even have access to the market. So like, even if you had unlimited money, you couldn't buy it.
Sure. Well, I don't necessarily also think that you're going to be coming up against a bunch of like very heavy geared juicers either, right? So like,
no, but you might wipe a scav boss and want to take everything.
That would, yeah, and the difference is monumental for what you can and can't take at that point. I think it's going to be more important than ever to probably have, for customs especially, to have the rubles on deck for the car extract.
That could be something to consider.
I've been doing it non-stop lately because of the new weight system in general, and I love it. I swear by that.
Okay.
I'm a big fan, and it's not hard to have that money down below, especially once you have a wallet or docs or whatever, right?
Yeah. So I was hoping to kind of look at the patch notes here and run through them real quick just to get an idea of what kind of changes we're looking at.
I'm pulling them up now.
Specifically, what would be relevant to the early game. I'm of the opinion that the first 20 levels is a pretty big deal. If you can get through like 15 to 25 levels, you pretty much are in great shape, especially if you have EOD, because you get that starting rep. And
the starting rep goes a long way for sure
across the board at around level 3, and that's a big deal. So the things that I saw right off the hop that seemed like a pretty big deal are, number one, we're getting a wipe, which is why we're having this conversation. We see some new weapons being added. To me, these don't seem like they're going to be game-changing early wipe unless you get access to the vector early, and then that could be good.
Yeah, I think we'll see what the fire rate is like on the UMP. I have a feeling it's going to be significantly slower than the Vector, which is a shame because that ultimately makes the UMP way less value, at least at level 4 traders. Maybe you have access to the UMP sooner than later, but I just think the UMP is personally like a really cool gun that I've wanted in the game for a long time. So Chris coming in and kind of stealing the thunders, kind of but they super caught me off guard with adding 300 Blackout and Lapua. That trips me out.
I see that. Generally, I feel like adding new weapons doesn't really change the game much. Wiping the game has a much more substantial impact than that.
Right, but adding new ammunitions can have an impact for sure.
Especially on the late game. Like, having more viable candidates means that the replayability of the wipe goes up. So all the more reason to play, you know?
There's a super interesting take that in the chat, 35 is going to be better for training strength. Do you think that plays into things?
That's true. Definitely.
We will see like a more linear progression into strength boosting.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of really big things here. So number one is like the way strength currently works, if I recall correctly, is as you gain strength, the limit that you need to get to before you start to incur penalties is higher.
That's correct.
And it's not gained linearly as you gain XP, it's gained linearly as you gain levels.
Right.
So you need to gain levels of strength.
Yep.
And so getting hitting 35 early and like walking out of a few raids and hitting like 5 strength so that you can function at the same way you did, or 10 strength so you can function at the same way you did at level 1 the previous wipe is a big deal.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree.
So there is some advantage there. You know, the reality is if you wanted to, at any point, you could be overweight in this wipe. It's not hard to wear an armor that's heavy and put anything in your 2 guns, like double gun 1 time, and you're overweight. Like it's not.
Yep.
It's not complicated.
It's definitely not complicated. I think a lot of it's going to happen passively.
The weight change is of note. The recoil reduction change is of note, specifically later in the game. That's going to change the way, like, what defines the meta. You know?
I do know.
If you consider that, like, one fight that you would normally be taking, you'd be full autoing, and now the recoil control's worse, and someone who's single tapping is winning because that range is just too long, you know?
So Nikita explained that the way Nikita explained it was that in general, even like base recoil was going to be slightly more, like your PMC's innate ability to control recoil was going to be worse.
Okay.
He alluded to that at the very least, and so I'm hoping that that will indeed be the case.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if when you shot, the cursor didn't land after where you shot in the same spot when you initially shot.
Right.
Know?
Yes.
Like we have full recoil reset right now, no matter what you do.
Basically.
And
very few guns climb.
Even the Glock, like if you hold it down, I think the cursor comes back to the center of the screen when you release eventually.
Right. Which is wild.
There's like, you remember, we went back and played like Halo again, and you were playing with the assault rifle, and it's like, oh, this is pretty different than Tarkov. I still need to pull down.
Yep. Yeah, it's so I will be curious how that goes. But yeah, you're right. In the long run, it's going to be mostly of note late game when people are soft skilled out of their minds.
Yeah, it could be more like CS in the way that, like, when you do the AK, for example, it climbs and then it does like some zigzag horizontally at a specific level.
Yeah.
So you have to aim like 3 or 4 degrees down.
I think that's the best system by a long shot. That's the most skill-based system, and yeah, I think you know, whether it's quote unquote realistic or not, I just want to see a game that somebody can predict and master.
Yeah, right? So I think the changes there will matter, but I don't think they're going to matter for the first 20 levels in the same way. Yeah. It might a little bit, like the MP5 might feel a little bit worse than it normally does early, and the PP 1901, those 9mm guns that are pretty viable day one.
Yep.
But yeah, there'll be some changes there, I imagine.
Right.
So what are the other notable changes here? AI got some changes. Doesn't look like that's that important. Some optimizations.
Obviously, ammo purchase limits being increased is important.
Oh, that's huge. That's big.
And I find that if they were just like even increased a little bit and you were considering buying on refresh, because again, you know, I've said it once already today. I've said it 1,000 times in the past. Ammo is the be all end all of a kit.
It really is, yeah.
And I think it's 100% worth trying to grab solid ass starting ammos or something that you eventually have access to on reset. Whether you're running that gun right then or not, paying attention to the reset timer and grabbing it so that you don't end up having to pay exorbitant prices for it when you want to use it, but you can't fill up your mags because, you know, reset limit is like 90.
Yeah.
It you know, it makes a big difference if you have a nice little stash away. So
I feel that. Especially like from the perspective of a lot of these weapons you want to run them on full auto. If you can only buy 100 rounds, sometimes that's only 1 or 2 magazines, you know?
Right.
Like you're not even filling 2 60 rounds of M4 ammo if it's only 100 rounds you can buy. Whereas I think today you went and bought the 336 AP rounds and you could buy 100. And that was enough to do, like, if you're using that.
It was enough for like 3 kits.
At minimum, right? I mean, It's 4 rounds in a magazine, 1 in the chamber. You can put the sack in a container and run with exposing 9 rounds on death if you wanted to.
Right.
You know.
Yep.
So another thing to consider there. So we're getting a Woods expansion.
Woods expansion is obviously most exciting to me, even if the expansion area sucks.
So this morning you said BSG said that we were going to get Woods this December.
That's correct.
I don't think we're getting Woods this December.
Didn't feel that way.
Here we are.
Getting it.
Here we are 10 hours later, 8 hours later.
Yep.
and there's a woods expansion, so that's exciting.
It's interesting that like
from the photos, what did you think?
The photos, I only saw one photo, right? And that was like what we used to call like Ace's Rock when we first started playing Tarkov.
Mm-hmm.
It's the rock in the middle of the field that's between the green smoke extract, that's by Factory Gate, right?
Yeah. Above the van, right?
Yeah, and basically just up from the water from the blood marked van, right? There's a rock there. It's in the middle of the field. It's taller than all the others. It looks like a wiener rock, whatever. It's very phallic. It's a phallic rock. So right where that is, we saw an image of what I can only describe it as a Daisy standalone type military base for a small one
type deal, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
And that instantly creates a very interesting dynamic of people having to cross the open field to get inside of it, looting, and then also have to cross the open field to get out, right? Get in,
holding
loot,
from there,
get out,
playing around it.
And there's so many woods too that have access to sight lines that are on that little base. So, if they put something really juicy in there, I think that ends up making a lot of really fun fights. Some of my favorite Daisy standalone fights are in those exact situations.
It does add a real close quarter potentially to woods.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm kind of hoping they juice up the loot in there. I hope there's a good spawn, something. Just put a low percentage keycard spawn there and you're golden, So
yeah, I see.
Something.
Yeah, I would be okay with things like that. I still like, I really like the feeling of woods, and I know that they were talking about adding some underground networks. I don't know if that's in there as well. I think if you see underground things being added to woods,
I think that's
tunnels
bad.
to connect between things, is that in or no?
I don't think so.
Okay.
And if it was, I want to call that bad.
I think
almost by default.
It's bad, but it's good. So it's good for early game because you're going to be seeing less people because people are going to be exploring that, which means that you going up to the surface and just blasting through the map, wiping a batch of AI and getting out.
That's
like
true.
1 or 2 PMC kills is a really efficient way to get specific things. So like your shotguns early, your white armors, or you're just shopping pretty much,
Right.
So that could be useful. So
yes, so Mayhem, yeah, man. Sorry, Mayhem says, does a white mean everyone will go back to 0? Yes, everyone's going to be starting fresh, almost on an even playing field, only differentiated by what version of the game you currently own.
Yep. Yeah, so I think we got some good stuff there.
So immunity being added, I think can really refer to a couple of things. I don't see a way that they release the new woods map without having the new AI. I don't see how they don't put cultists with the expansion. I would find that very hard to believe.
Mm-hmm.
If they do, then clearly there is an issue with it because they've been talking about cultists forever. They've claimed that they've been testing them forever. These like melee based AI is the idea, and they literally track players. They only have melee though, and their objective really is to hit the player with a melee weapon that's coated in poison. And there's supposed to be some sort of like poison effect or poison coating, and it ticks your health, and you need some sort of antidote. So it's an additional med that you need to consider bringing in if you're going to be running on a map like that.
Probably some hallucinogenic effect too, knowing the way that they've been doing the stims.
Sure, which works for me. That's fine.
Yeah, definitely.
That could be cool, and I think it definitely adds an interesting dynamic to a map where a lot of people like to post up and chill for a bit. So
for sure,
I'm cool with that.
Especially if you use the AI to track other players potentially.
Yes, absolutely, and I think that's actually a really cool way to utilize them. Is if they're not aggroed on you. Just like you would in Daisy standalone, right? You see a zombie running a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
You track a dude through a city that way, whether or not you see him. It'd be cool. It'd definitely be cool. I personally hope that it's in. I think it adds a really cool dynamic to the map, but we'll see.
So, another big thing.
Oh, very important. Way more important, Ted. Alexander's asking if I want sushi for dinner. Yes, please, dear. That sounds great. You can pick the roles. Love you. All right.
If they ain't spicy, you're doing wrong though, Alex.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
She knows I like the spicy rolls.
Keep them spicy.
Mm-hmm.
So we got the Woods expansion talked about. We got reworked PMC initial gear sets. If all is good and fair in this world, the standard edition boys here will get a little bit of love, because yeah, it'd be nice, you know, for everyone to start with the same amount of Celoas, the same amount of like basic other med supplies,
Absolutely.
Bulk heals, components. Like, consider like doing the gunsmith tasks. Right now you spawn with an M4 that has some parts that's needed for gunsmith part 4, and you can't get them unless you have that M4 until you're like level 30 something, or you loot them in like some weird circumstance from like Kiba store, or you get them off the market for an exorbitant price. So that some of that stuff is like EXP gating, because you'll have access to those tasks before you'll have the ability to buy the parts.
Yep.
So hopefully things are a little bit more equitable there. Seeing and looking at those starting, like each starting kit will be relevant.
I think that's what I'd like to do for sure. I see Koala says, can someone explain how to prepare for the wipe? I'm still pretty new to Tarkov. I think figuring out or dictating a plan for yourself to have a kit that you're comfortable with, but also fares well early game versus all the other players, and uses an ammo type that's going to help you to be successful is super important. And if you don't have that plan, I think it's really easy to blow a lot of your original starting juice on kits that aren't, you know, in your best interest. So go ahead.
Right now, I think our goal is to go through the notes. I'm saying we're basically done. There's a bunch of stuff here, but I don't think that it's super relevant. Then we're going to jump into the what does it take to come out of the wipe successfully over the next 5 days. You know, what does it take to get yourself surviving raids when everyone's going for the same tasks? To be able to buy a car med on day 1. What does it take to be able to buy armor on day 1 or 2? You know, how do I get access to the flea market quickly? What's the best ways to get XP in a safe manner? You know, what's the best way to do which tasks in which order? We're going to cover a bunch of that stuff. So
yeah, I think
if you're interested in that, stick around, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. The I want to say I'm hopeful that they keep things relatively as is. Sometimes they move things around during a wipe. I think during the last one, they didn't necessarily move around starting guns. Not significantly, at least.
Yeah,
they did when they added...
Jaeger.
Yes, when they added Jaeger, we had a switch.
Yeah, but they moved the shotguns over.
Yep.
They moved something else, like a laser or something. We have to, if you have the game open, we can take some... We'll look at all the level 1 traders and all level 2 traders for everyone. The level they unlock, what kind of gear they have, and talk about the loadouts you can make.
We're just jumping in the game for that, so we can look at that.
Yeah, get that open. I'm just quickly scanning the added changes here to see if anything.
You can go factory until level 10, then focus on tasks, just so if there are any new tasks, I'll be ready to make changes to my routing. It's an interesting strategy. I am very much so of the belief that if you are not utilizing your starting kits to make progress on your task, then you're getting behind the curve for yourself. Because the minute that you have an unsuccessful raid, you just lost gear and also made no progress on the current task set, right? And the only way to get out ahead of this curve of players that are playing the game and unlocking gear at, like, you know, some sort of like median rate is to level up those traders, right? That's how you get ahead of that task, or that overall task curve.
You can either ignore traders to some capacity, or you can engage with them instantly. So like the process you're considering is engaging with them instantly. It's like bang out your juicer customs raid, get your 5 scav kills and like 1 or 2 other things like shotguns maybe, and maybe even the water task like pretty early on. The other route is obviously you just ignore those tasks and let everyone else do the therapist push and the prop war push.
I think ultimately
you realize you just need levels and money spent to get level 2.
You would have to like ignore it for like weeks though, to feel like you're seeing less people in those areas.
Advantage. Once you have like level 4 armor and an AK, it doesn't really, that task is free.
True. There's no doubt
like,
there.
You're going to be fighting against pistolings, like the
right.
people that have failed the pocket watch task 10 times and are using their last Makarov. Like that's your opponent, and
bro,
like if you have
watching
real
that,
armor,
watching people go through that struggle over the next like week is both going to be incredibly sad, but also incredibly funny. I'm not gonna lie, like
for sure,
because it's so easy to predict what people are doing and how they're trying to get it done and what position that they are in, like stash wise. Like you can feel the pain. You can feel the it's very palpable, incredibly.
Yeah. So at the early game, we also have a lot of different forms of progress you can get right away. So there's money to and from traders that you need to get in order to be able to unlock the next level.
Yep.
You have reputation to gain on traders, which if you have EOD, this is the time when you're going to feel good about yourself because you have 0.2 starting rep. That's enough to get level 2 on every single trader, I think.
Yep.
And you don't need to do a single task for them. You just need to get XP.
And level 2, like if we're looking at like what level 2 brings, it's kind of huge.
It is huge.
You're able to unlock the 1M2-1 and an AK.
So for
74N,
but a 4x scope that fits on a ton of different guns.
Yeah, but also like the best version of it too, specifically.
That's true. You get the one with the best chevron. Yep.
And you get recoil control for a lot of those same guns from the exact same trader.
The rubber butt pad, most efficient.
Yeah.
Recoil reduction per ruble in the game. Double click on that. It's like -5 or something. Busted.
It's definitely good. It is -5%, and it's +1 ERT.
Even better.
Which is pretty fire. I do want to note that 545 has been particularly non-performant as an ammo type compared to almost everything else currently.
Yeah, I mean, day one, it's going to be doing fine.
It'll do absolutely fine day one for sure.
Yeah.
Especially, I want to say I'd have to look at an ammo chart, but I'd be down to predict like what ammos are going to be most banging.
Yeah, I mean, the guns are still going to shoot at a pretty nice fire rate, right? And so there's a certain amount of barrel stuffing you do with people where you run into them like practically on a body and you're just spraying a guy down. And like, even if people have level 3 armor and you're at level 2 traders using, what can you buy level 2 prop?
PP.
PP, perfect. Like, I don't even
literally
know, I don't
perfect.
think the task unlock, is it? I don't think it is.
No, it's free, and the cap is 400 rounds for a restock, which is pretty insane. It's more than you need.
If that gets increased, you could just be, if you push for level 2 prop war, you can be just blasting.
Big PP boy.
Yeah, big
if you will.
So what do you get for rifle? It looks like you get.
Yeah, so you get the 74M, or not M, but well, let's actually double check that.
Yeah, check the full auto rifles.
So you get whoa, my game just bugged. Okay, my trader's gone. Oh, we're dying. Oh, all right. A lot of people on the game right now. Smile, yeah. So you can't get an M. It looked like an N only.
Oh, yeah, you're a purple, aren't you?
Oh, there we go. Okay, we're back. So, I would definitely avoid all the 74Us. I think the 74U is a gigantic new player trap. They're incredibly accessible, but when
what's the pro strat with the 74U? Do you remember?
Literally put it on semi and never take it off.
No.
I mean, that is the pro strap.
Buy one right now, put in your stash, and unload it.
Oh, you just yoink all the ammo out of them.
That's right, and see how much it costs.
Yeah, you get BPs. 30 BP out of every 74U that you buy, and
sell everything back.
Yeah, then you schlang everything back. You could even, well, it's kind of a hard test because of I'm maxed out trader here, but
I mean, you're
the idea is
still
still there.
Returns, but you just spent 7K on that AK.
So if we're looking at this, yeah, it's like 6, and you get 3 back roughly. Or 2.5 even if we're looking at level 1 traders. So yeah, you're paying almost 0 money for free BP, and there's no cap on these.
There's no cap, It's a way to get AP rounds at level. I think you can buy them at level 1.
It is level 1. Yep.
How much is it at level 1? I mean, the prices might be different soon, but like
the prices will be, but yeah, it's 5,500. So for the 74U right now for me.
That's so cheap, man.
Yeah. What is the trade actually? I wish it would let me see. 2 horses.
Go buy.
Worth considering because I don't think the horse doesn't sell for shit.
Yeah, but you can just per slot 5K we can find better items.
Yeah,
so
that's
we're gonna
true.
Ignore that. But yeah, I mean this kind of strat, like if you have a real AK in your stash because you killed a scav or you had a good scav spawn in or you looted one for a box, and
prices are 95% off right now because of the wipe. AK
95% off.
Oh, I see.
So AK is normally
this BP will still be a better value. 100%.
25K.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense. I was about to say 5K is really cheap.
Yeah, it's absurd.
But the other thing is, what people might not be considering, let's say you're sitting on EOD, like you have enough rep to get prop war at level 2. All you're missing is levels and money spent.
Yep.
So this is a way of you're buying the gun, then you're selling the gun. That's money in both.
It's double transaction, right?
And you're getting AP ammo.
And you're getting armor pen ammo. That honestly, again, I think that the iron sights on a regular AK are phenomenal. I hit nasty shots with these 74 ends regularly. Same with an AKM, really. It's very similar irons, and I find them to be very accurate, even at range, even with no optic. But again, 4X banging. These AKs banging, ammunition banging. Prop war is a good early level.
So you got a handgun in there?
Handgun. For prop war.
Handguard, sorry.
Oh, handguard. If we are looking at, I don't think we have one that allows for expansion.
Okay, cool. That's good to know. So you can't get the grip for the AK, but you can get the pad and the scope.
So you can get the polymer at level 1, which does allow for a foregrip and attack.
And a laser, right?
And a laser, which is insane.
Okay. So that's level 1. So if you get AKs, that's going to be your go-to.
Definitely juicy.
For those of you that don't know what the laser does in this game, any laser you put on your gun will change your hipfire recoil from, it'll make it 50% tighter, which means that you'll effectively be spraying in a quarter of the area.
Yep.
And it also gives you a dot on your screen so you can see, because like it's a laser, you know.
That is correct. And you have level 1 lasers accessible. You have what is arguably the best laser in the game, outside of maybe IR for certain reasons. You have the best visual laser in the game, the blue laser. If you don't know why the blue laser is the best laser in the game, go watch today's YouTube video. Go watch today's YouTube video. If you don't know why, !YT, check it out. Learn something. Learn something for sure. It's phenomenal. That link right there, maybe we could copy paste the actual video in the chat, would be sick. But if we could copy and paste that up, that'd be huge.
Yeah, most recent YouTube video does have a nice spiel about it. This laser is solid.
It's and
YouTube's got a lot of good resources, but we're gonna cover a ton of stuff right now. So like level 1 builds, we're talking you can get a good handguard from prop war that fits any grip on.
Yep.
And it fits a laser. We have a good laser you can buy at level 1 skier. We have the rubber pad at level 2 prop war. If you have EOD, you just need to spend money. You don't need to do pocket watch. I'm like 99% sure. I'll check right now the rep required, but Escape from Tarkov prop war.
So I'm looking at what this would look like, right? Boom, 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 boom.
You're just buying the parts?
Yeah, I'm just going to buy the parts and look at the gun.
Absolutely. And go to skier level 1 and grab a grip.
Yep. Skier level 1 for the grip? No.
Yeah, skier.
No.
Doesn't have that little dongle?
It doesn't. I think they moved that.
Oh, F.
I believe they moved that. We got to find one. Earliest foregrip, chat. Earliest foregrip. Maybe PK level 1. There is one at PK level 1. We have one.
Okay, but I don't think we have PK1 unlocked until a bit because we have to do the friend from the west.
No. You do have PK1 unlocked. You can't level up PK from there. You will have PK level 1.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
you just can't level.
Oh, that's right. We could buy MP5s and stuff. I'm stupid.
Yep. So there's this KAC that's +7 erg. It's not a recoil one, but the 7 erg's nice for sure. We'll cop that for now to look.
ADS speed.
ADS speed is huge.
If you're playing on standard, your reputation matters for getting this progression. In my opinion, for standard players, you want to be blasting through the Prop War task line, Punisher, that whole series as much as you can, because that's going to get you your Epsilon. Is that what it's called? The 2x4 container?
That's correct.
And that container changes the way you play the game.
Yeah, they moved the stubby to level 2 skier from level 1, but you're right, it was 1.
Not the end of the world.
So we're looking at this KAC vertical. So if you're looking at the gun, it's going to be bang, bang, and bang.
Unload that mag. We looking at BP again?
We are looking at BP again, yes. So that's confirmed even for that gun. Is going to be the same here. The blue laser is on. I'm actually, can I slide it over? No, it's forced right side, but that's okay. That's no big deal. And then, do we have anything for the tip? I'm just curious if we're looking at anything within 1 or 2 prop war here.
You don't, but that suppressor is super common.
That's true. Like the suppy is very common. You're right.
Most common of all of them. So,
and you work towards it in the next level anyway. But but yeah. So like for only having one thing leveled up, which EOD already has the rep for, so we're looking at level and reputation. Your gun's gonna look like this, which is fucking nuts.
Yeah. So level 2 prop war. As long as you don't lose rep on prop war, you have 0.2 starting rep on EOD. So some of the tasks will remove the reputation.
Yep.
So if you don't do those and you just get level 15, you can play the game super successfully.
Honestly,
with this gear.
Dude, BP rounds with this extra erg on the foregrip. Look how fast this is.
I know, it's quick.
That's super quick. And holy.
For folks that show do you have 2 mags on you or just 1?
I only have the 1.
Okay, right. Show like a half a spray width and without the laser.
Yep. I'm just trying to have equal distance here. We'll do it in the back, I think is the best.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So no laser, and I'm gonna try and shoot around 15. All right. So that climbs pretty hard. First shot's more like at the top, right at the barrier of the white. I'll try and make this similar. So then laser on. It's definitely way tighter. I mean, you can see the 25% difference in tightness for sure. And that's the only thing that we changed there. That's it.
Yeah, so what you're getting there, I mean, like you did that test pretty close, but like you back that up.
Sure.
10 meters, 20 meters.
It's definitely more significant at further.
It's a difference between you hitting someone twice and hitting someone 6 times.
I mean, I can run it back just like this, and I'll do it from even further, but yeah, let's see. All right, so that's your spray right there. Yeah, I mean, the difference is insane.
Yeah, we'll show the build one more time after he gets out of the...
Yep.
And I mean, you
this
see
thing climbs. This thing definitely climbs.
Down,
yeah,
bro, but like...
Let it be known that I'm specifically, just for people watching, I'm not pulling it all, right? Like, I don't want to have that variable in there. Obviously.
Collecting bitcoins the day before the wipe, Pepega.
Oh yeah, dude. Listen, I can't sit there. It's making me sad.
Starting the scab.
It's gotta get in there, bro.
Double click on that AK one more time for this guy here.
You got it.
So again, this is level 2 prop war.
Only. That's it.
And level 1 peacekeeper.
And level 1 skier. That builds this. I mean, it's a beast.
And again, we got the BP ammo by buying and selling AK-74Us, which is what we do to level up Prop War. Like, that is an efficient way to level him, because you get AP ammo out of it.
Yep.
Which is something you can't buy easily. So yeah, solid. The other thing is there's a barter Prop War level 2 for BP ammo.
BT. 1 D fuel.
Level 1 maybe?
That is correct. You get BP and BT. You can actually get both of these. So Clin wipers are big to look out for free BP. And then Tushankas are huge. Not Quest Tushankas, but the other ones. Now, two of those is 2 BTs.
For people that aren't big on the 4X, are going to be playing a lot of customs, you probably want to do a red dot. So what do we have level 1 Prop War that fits on the same gun?
It is, you're going to be looking, honestly, this Cobra is fire.
Oh yeah, you got to put that cam back in here in a minute, right? There it is.
That's the juicer, I think.
There's your Cobra. Yep.
And so you don't have to worry about changing out the dust cover at all for one that has a mount, because this is dovetail compatible. So back into the hideout, show you the way it looks.
You could do this in raid, by the way, if you chose, or use iron sights, take off the PSO when you're going into a building, put it in your pockets.
Sure, definitely could. So this is like a pretty small reticle, but you can change these, right? Not by clicking that small or that small. Control T.
No. I have mine on like alt right click and control right click, I think.
Okay, alt right for me. There it is. So I would personally say this one.
Dot with the hat. Is that what you picked? Or you picked the plus?
No. I think this is like the biggest, most visible, but also shows you exactly where center is with the best sight line, right? So
yeah, if that guy stops for 1 second to check his inventory or his task, you have a dot that's good enough to get the headshot.
Absolutely.
And if you need to fight someone in close, you can still keep track of the reticle.
And this ADS speed is still really good. Like there's way worse. So I like it.
Yeah, it's not clunky.
No. Yeah, I'm a fan of that. So
you get -1 recoil. I don't know if the side mount one does it. Is that true? It could be.
Sure does.
Fake news. Oh, nice.
-1% recoil. It is a decent erg hit, but it's the same erg hit that you're gonna get from the PSO.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, for me personally, I probably take the additional. I probably run the irons on this, but only because I'm so comfortable with it. So I still think irons are really good on this gun. So
2 other guns of note: Prop War level 1. Right. Let's get back in there.
I just want to show these irons real quick and how good they are.
Absolutely.
Ideally. I'm up now. Let me in there. Yeah, I mean, like, for
MOA
me,
on the 74N is irrelevant because you're not going to be fighting anyone at a range where that matters.
Lining up heads for me is so easy with this. I like the crossbar. Some people take it off. It now actually affects the accuracy of the gun over range, I'm pretty sure. So I've gotten used to it just like this. But this is a head flicker. Absolutely. It's not the best sight picture, but it is definitely dead-eye dick accurate. And I like the crossbar just to be able to acquire height, right? So I'm a fan. I'm definitely a fan. And that way you don't take the 7 erg hit, which, you know, it matters to some people.
Yeah, I feel that.
Hold on, I got a moonshine real quick.
Oh yeah, moonshine? Big moonshine guy?
I'm gonna put that on the market real quick.
All right. I'm farming.
So yeah, if we look at Prop War level 1, there are other guns that are notable.
So we got, for me, I think there's two substantial. Just one. No, two.
This is a trade. I think Keter Mosin is huge.
Keter is kind of shit, in my opinion. But if you get good ammo, it's okay. The Mosin is really good. Like, don't forget, guys, that the Mosin ammo 1 clicks to the chest. If someone has a little bit of a bleed and they're a little low, it's definitely 1 click.
Yep.
So hitting upper chest shots with the Mosin or head shots with the Mosin is super viable.
Definitely viable.
So scroll up slightly, or actually you don't need to. The AKM there, you'll notice it's 3 Tushonkas.
Yeah, true. You a lot of accounts start with a good chunk of these bad boys.
A lot of accounts start with Tushonkas. I believe even the standard boys start with this.
Yeah,
And
I think that's true.
If you remember, the current therapist task requires found in raid Tushonkas,
which yours will not count for.
Which yours will not count for. So what are they good for? They're good for eating. If for some reason you get your stomach popped, you don't have any food in your stash, and you're trying to fill up on crackers.
Yep. Or
they're good for buying something like an AKM, which is another really viable gun.
And I'd agree that like 7.6239 is really good right now.
Okay.
And PS in general is probably the best base ammo for any caliber.
Yeah, PS is a really good bullet, especially like right off the hop. So
yeah, that's definitely important.
So I think we covered some of the basics here for prop, and we talked about how EOD starting rep gets you level 2 with level 15 and money spent. So I think those are the big takeaways. Level 2 prop is really all you need unless you need the big container. And if you need the big container, you're going to push this whole task line.
If you are not EOD or have no starting rep with prop war, I'm just looking to see how many tasks.
A safe and peaceful Christmas.
Get in there. Debut, how much?
Yeah, so it's going to be 3 tasks here is what it's going to take. 0.08, you got 0.05, and then you have 0.1. So all it takes is 2 customs and woods, and you're in there.
And realistically, you might need that extra like delivery from the past one done as well, because there is some minus rep that comes in down the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you want to maintain it, sure.
By the time you're progressing, you're going to want to keep that rep up. For other people who have EOD and get the starting rep, they're just going to be coming in with debut or checking and being able to maintain. So let's go to the next trader in the list, who is therapist and is extremely important to playing this game successfully.
Yeah, therapist is interesting. She has some things that are quest locked. I think that's important.
Yep.
I don't know.
I think we can remember which ones are task locked too.
By we, I remember it would definitely be you.
Yeah. So what is the one that we farm for every single time? It's the most important thing to do.
Sweet Suluwas.
Yeah, we farm Selawas. And I think
I'm seeing how far back we can go here.
You can go all the way. It's a second task. Shortage, I think.
Yeah.
So you get this task at level
before we get into this,
3.
Miss Regs coming in with the $20 hairs. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, homie. She says, wishing you and all your loved ones a safe and peaceful Christmas. That's very kind. I appreciate it. Back at you, my friend. Thank you for always having me in mind. You're a wonderful person. Thank you, thank you, thank you. G-Jerk, thank you for the Prime, man. And Army, thanks for the bits, man. I appreciate it. Hopefully you guys are finding the information useful. We're going to keep rolling. I think, like, going over this stuff day before wipe, it can have such a significantly massive impact on your performance and overall your time and the trajectory of your account over the next who knows how many weeks. So
right. So Selawas are really important because they're a good medical item. But Selawas are more important on the first couple days of the wipe because you don't have a good way to heal normal bleeds. And so the way we get this is we do this task and it unlocks the next task, which is Sanitary Standards Part 1. That requires you to hand over a found in raid gas analyzer. And that found in raid gas analyzer will unlock the car first aid kit, which is an extremely important early game medical item. It is very unfortunate when you need to do a task and you've used up your stockpile of meds and you're stuck using bandages and AI2s to heal. It's a horrible experience. Keep
in mind that the car is now completely different. Car has been changed significantly.
AI2?
It's just important to note that it only stops light bleeds.
Yeah, light bleeds, of course. But you can still buy the shitty, the tourniquet one.
Hemostats,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
Hemostat, I actually don't know where they've placed that. Hemostat level 3.
3, okay.
That's Monka, but okay. Got it. Yikes.
I think it's fine. But because you can use the shit one.
You can get the shit one. You can use the tourniquet one. But that is, I'm just thinking about like, it's very cheap. It's 260 rubles. It's literally nothing.
No, it's 5 times more expensive. How much is it normally?
Right. Oh, that's still nothing, but
it's 1,000.
Sure.
It's 1,000 for each heavy bleed you want to be able to fix.
But these are things
you can put 2 in your container, 1 in your hotbar, and you're fine.
See, what I worry about is the container thing because, yes, you need to get out of raid with your quest items for them to be found in raid for quite a few of them. But there's so many meds now. It's going to be harder to figure out, especially for the standard edition players, what meds need to sit inside of that container.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Right. The standard, if you want the standard, you have 4 slots and you need to put meds in to make you survive a task. The long and short of it is if you can put a full cello in there, you want that in there.
Definitely.
If you can put a grizzly in there, a grizzly would work.
Yeah, the cello is huge, right? Because you use it as you need it, whittle it down to 1, and then it still gets, you still receive quest credit for it as well.
And remember, guys, like the heavy bleeds do take away 150. So if you have 150 left on it, you need to make sure that you don't just run it dry.
Yeah, drag and drop out of the container for sure.
Like normal bleeds are still a problem, and it is inefficient time-wise to AI2 and then bandage individually. So it's much better to have a one-size-fits-all button, especially for like a user error kind of mindset.
Crucy comes in with the information that this first gas ante does not need to be FIR.
Not anymore.
Interesting.
Is that the change? Okay. That's good to know. So if you die with a gas analyzer in your pocket, it's okay.
Yeah.
That was once upon a time a huge pain in the butt.
So that's definitely going to be a bum shove.
Oh yeah. You're going to slap that in there right quick. So what else do we have to talk about? So we talked about the starting kits being different. So right now, the basic accounts do not come with a Celewa, and the EOD does come with 1 Celewa. So as EODers, you're probably going to put like your Celewa in your container right away.
Yep.
And you can use that to med yourself through like a few hundred HP on it.
Right. As soon as it gets low, get it out of your container and hang on to it for your therapist task.
Yeah, so someone's saying here that the Celewas need to be found in raid. You have a standard edition account you can switch over to and check this on, but they did not used to be like that.
I believe that they do. I vaguely remember that.
They do need to be FIR now or no?
I think they do. So yeah, so maybe that first one. It's worth looking. You will know. You will know if you can turn it in or not immediately. The one that you get to begin with.
Sequest. Therapist. Shortage. Find 5 Celewa kits. Hand over 5 Celewa kits. That does not need to be found in raid. I don't think this wiki is out of date. I think it's in good shape.
I'm almost positive that the most recent wipe, I think I turned my one in originally away.
Gave one to a friend next week. He just started new. Yeah, we're chilling.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Right. We're getting to the crafting. Don't jump the gun, real McCoy. We'll get there.
We'll definitely get to the crafting.
So we got some big tasks. Therapist, level 2 unlocks at what reputation? Let me just go check that. So what does level 2 therapist get us? This is another one that we can get day 1 probably.
Well, interesting things, I would say, if you get the quest unlocked for the Celewa, you're there, right? Which you will have. Well, you will not have until you do Postman Pat, right? Postman Pat Part 2 is going to give you that Celewa unlock. I don't know what quest number that is. I wish you told me.
Postman Pat is the one where we go into factory.
I know what it
is.
Yeah. I'm just curious how many quests in that is. So that's when you will have it. It is a level 2 item.
We'll look at the
There's some trades that are mediocre. I wouldn't call any of these trades particularly good. Lucky Scab junk box is worth knowing.
Yeah, for all you standard boys.
Yeah, this is so
important.
For all
you EODers who don't know how to sell items correctly, that Scab junk box is massive, considering that we need to save items for selling on the market, and we need to save items for upgrading hideout. This box is your go-to.
Yep.
Also, it used to be the case that
Thanks, Crystal.
The first task for unlocking Jaeger after the letter required croutons. And this is another way you can buy and barter croutons.
Croutons V tasty.
Yeah, so getting level 2 therapist could potentially be an unlock for Jaeger. We're going to keep that in mind.
If you are having trouble or do not have a friend that ends up with a customs key so that you can do the prop war task, I definitely recommend keeping your eyes peeled for gold chains. You do have this trade available if you need it.
And they don't even sell for that much. Like, keep in mind, guys, the customs key, like, at level 15,
it's huge.
4 days into the wipe is going to be 1,000,000 rubles.
Yeah. Yo, Chips, thank you, bro.
And 4 gold chains is a lot cheaper than that. So, especially initially. At least don't sell the therapist.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Chips. Thank you, boss. My man. Thanks for hooking up the homies, bro. Yeah, I think yeah, don't just straight up schling these for cash. That's a terrible play.
Bad play. Gold chains, bad play. How would you level therapist in 2? What would be your go-to?
Say that again.
How are you going to level therapist level 2?
For the sake
of money.
Of transaction money.
Yeah.
I am almost always there by the time I need to be there.
That's my experience as well.
I've never had to finagle for the transaction cash with therapist. She is the most organic one, hands down.
I think part of that is that therapist buys a lot of these valuables.
The big ticket items, yeah.
Yeah, so you just sell the valuables to her.
Yep.
Yeah, big.
Absolutely.
So, we covered therapist to some degree, levels 1 and 2. You see, you need your gas analyzer, you need your Celoas.
Yep.
We'll talk about the Celoas and how to get them more when we go over quest prioritization and map prioritization in the early game.
Yeah. So
we got Fence, who's useless. Occasionally you can luck out to get a good item, but there's going to be a lot of plebs trying to buy things on Fence, so I would ignore it. We got Skier. Skier level 1 is going to be what we work with for a long time.
Yep. Definitely.
So let's get in there and take a peep.
Isn't awful. The 136 vet is oftentimes people's go-to. I know that this is a trade, but again, these horses are pretty available. It's not.
You know what I'm going to say.
What are you going to say?
I'm going to say there's 2 other things that are really big here that I like more.
Yeah, your Rec Bat 8R, I get it. Yep. I definitely get it, especially
1 by 1 that gets you a gun.
Yeah, 1 by 1 and get you a gun is definitely nice. I get it.
You can buy 20 rounders and AK ammo.
Listen, this gun is good. It's accurate. I'll give it that. This gun is accurate.
If it's a red dot that you can buy level 1.
But I'm not sold on the Saiga 9 hype.
Oh, it was a PB19. I'm trash.
Yeah, it's not a PP19.
Okay, that's level 2 prop. My bad.
The 8R Rec Bat play is nice. It definitely is. I still think like 136 is fire.
136 is good
because it shoots good ammo, right? That's ultimately what it comes down to.
I'd rather have the AK. Like, if you ask me, Teddy, you're on day 2 of the wipe. You're doing your friend. What's the task where you have to get the thing from customs and plant it in factory? I always forget the name.
Yeah, Return to the Past.
Yeah, okay. This delivery from the past.
Delivery from the past, yeah.
Yeah, delivery from the past. The worst task in the game. What gun am I taking? I'm doing this task alone. I'm taking the AKM, dude. I'm just loading up the AKM. I'm sticking to close corners. And I'm melting people with PS while I don't have real ammo.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's gonna be my safe way to do that task.
Mm-hmm.
Skier. The other things of note on Skier for me were there's a suppressor you can buy at level 2, I think.
Yeah, there's the hexagon. for 545. Oh, and then also you have your backup bolty, right here.
Is it in there? Is it barter?
No, it's a buy.
How much is it?
Who knows? But it's 5,500 currently.
Okay, so it's around 20k, 25k. I think it's 5 times. This is a 20% off sale right now. Is what it seems like. It might be slightly more.
Or 80%.
This suppressor is extremely relevant because it's cheap.
It is cheap, and I would argue that the backup bolty with this suppressor is
one of the quietest guns.
I think it's like, it's safe to say it is the quietest gun, bro. I
SKS?
used it today. It is the quietest gun. I think the SK is louder for you, like the shooter, for sure, than this. But I will say also, like, the range on the sound for the SK is particularly small, it feels like. But
yeah, this gun is like the kind of thing where I'm 40 meters away from my friend, I shoot and he doesn't hear it.
Yeah,
like a stone's throw away, and he can't hear it. And so there's a lot of potential. You bring a gun like this with a gun with a red dot, you can just dip it if you need to.
Yep.
And it deals with your sniper scav. It deals with a bunch of problems in the game, like where you gotta land that headshot. You don't have the scope to hit it.
Yep.
The backup bolty will take care of it. Okay, so that's Skier. So the other thing about Skier is his tasks are tough. Skier's got some hard tasks, man. Look at the first 3 tasks. This is a nightmare. This is like the traitor that everyone hates the most. And people be like, oh, I hate Jaeger. No, you don't hate Jaeger, bro. You hate the fact that you need 4 white armors.
Yeah, because they're not easy to carry. They're not easy to get out. You have to wear one.
They're 3x3 items.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's definitely brutal. And
so trash.
The Tazis are free. You don't actually have to find them. I'm pretty sure you can purchase them level 1. So just keep that in mind, and they're super
Tazis
cheap.
Are free, but bro, 4 white armors.
I hear you.
This is like, you're not getting Skier 2 until you get 4 white armors. And what's the next task? 2 flash drives.
2 flash drives.
Bunch of fucking wires. Unreal.
Yeah, that's a lot.
2 flash drives is another thing. Like, if you aren't prioritizing looking for things like flash drives, you're not getting them. So you need 2 flash drives.
You do
What's
need
the next
to
thing we need?
prioritize them.
Next thing is the pistol kill. It's called Stirrup.
Yeah, I love Stirrup personally. I think Stirrup is a very easy quest that is often misplayed.
What happens when you do Stirrup?
What, when I do Stirrup?
Nope. What do proper and therapists think about you doing Stirrup?
Oh, you lose the rep, right? So
how much are you losing?
It's a lot, man. I mean, 0.12 is huge to lose from prop, so you have to be pretty far ahead before you turn this in if you don't want to lose your level 2 prop war, which we just
in prop war as EOD and like 5 tasks, bro. If you
into
are
standard, right?
Yep.
It's definitely spooky.
We lose some rep, but those tasks are pretty easy.
I still think that this quest itself is misplayed constantly. I see people complain about this. They've made this task super easy from what it used to be because people complain about it so much. But in reality, the way you complete Stirrup is you bring 1 PK, you bring like 1 bandage, 1 cheese, and you bring a pistol and an extra mag, and you run factory. And you knock this out in literally 30 minutes, and you never look back.
You should be able to do that. The other strat is you just use a pistol like you would use in the late game, which is you bring a pistol with you on a run where you're probably going to use a rifle, and you just kill idiots. Because there's always early game people running around with just a pistol or a hatchet.
Sure.
Or
you can use
that's completely clueless and standing up looting. And
you can do it passively that way for sure. Absolutely.
It will accomplish itself passively before you get the extra rep you need to maintain your traders.
For standard, for sure. I agree.
Yep. So those 3 tasks, big deal. The other thing of note with Skier, the last thing in my opinion, is that when you progress Skier, at some point he will introduce you to Peacekeeper. Peacekeeper is very good in like the 2nd and 3rd week of the wipe. He's got some good stuff.
He will introduce you to being able to do quests for PK. For clarity, you will have level 1.
Thank you.
He will allow you to do quests for PK so that you can increase your reps, so you can go from level 1 to level 2.
Yeah, and so on. So what
it used to be 2 to 3, but I think it's 1 to 2 now.
What happens when you hit level 2? What does Peacekeeper sell you level 2 that you think is big?
I mean, the M4 is in there. The RFB now is an incredible play. The MPX, which is honestly one of the number one meta guns right now for sure.
You get MP9, it's pretty good.
I think like people's ability, if you got to level 2 PK early, this is very good. If you do not do it, if you do not do it early, I would avoid the subs if you do not have 7N37 or the AP rounds. I don't know.
Hitting a lot of headshots, yeah.
Yeah, you definitely have to be hitting the headshots for it to be worth.
So scroll up to the top. What's that first row looking like, too?
I would argue that this is a much better buy early for like mid game. This RFB, because you're shooting M80s, which are just ass blasters from another dimension. Pretty much at any point in the wipe, except like end game. So
look at our ammos at the top of the screen here, level 2 PK. What do we got?
A juicy M80. So that comes free with it. They're very accessible. You can buy 200 at a time, and when you're shooting a semi-auto gun like the RFB, you're feeling good with 200 at a time.
An M80 is good for a lot of. There's like a bunch of guns that we're going to be talking about that are useful with M80. They're not going to be useful day 1 through 4, probably so much as they'll be useful day 5 through 20.
Absolutely. Mid-tier armors, it shreds. Like they're not in existence.
When people are walking around with level 4 armors, you're destroying them.
Yep.
Yeah.
So also definitely important to note, you do get the M856A1s.
Yep.
They are tracers, which I'm not a big fan of, but it's hard to argue with the statistics.
Yep, your BT equivalents. It's solid. Okay, so that's PK. What are we looking at next?
We're looking at these 5 gifted jobs. Woo! That's what we're looking at. What's up, Iron? How's it going, bro? Yo, thank you very much, Chips, again with another 5 stack. Appreciate it, bro.
So
yeah, level
big
1
things on mechanic.
mech.
What are we talking?
Level 1 mech for me, not that hype. You get the PSTs as your best 9x19 for quite some time. So that's worth considering. You also have the Glock, which is an incredibly solid secondary. So if you're looking to do your pistol kills, the Glock is not a bad option. I'm a huge fan. I've been running it a lot for the Wanderer challenge that I've been doing. And I think it does very well. So you get your Glock, you get additional mag, you get the PSTs, and you probably gotta be hitting heads. But it's very doable.
It's a functioning pistol for
sure. It is definitely a functioning pistol.
So for me, the big things on mechanic are the tasks. This is why we come to mechanic. So go to tasks.
So I think you can get level or part 1 gunsmith at level 10 now.
10? It's early.
I think it's 10. I think at level 10 you can get it, or maybe it got pushed up. It actually may have been pushed up again.
I'm gonna look at mechanic right now.
I'm curious to see what level.
Quest overview. Mechanic.
Player level. Player level, I failed. No way. So it's level 2. Okay. They pushed it up again. That's insane.
Is it really? You can see it right there?
Interesting. Well, that's the information from chat. And I failed, I think, just recently played through last week. Yeah. So he was able to pick it up at level 2. So the most insane part about this is if you can keep these parts in mind as you go, especially once you hit level 10, when you have flea market and you have some extra money, I will say that this pays for itself. The gunsmith progression pays for itself hard, and it boosts the ever-loving shit out of your XP.
And XP, especially for EOD, is the blocker.
It's 100% the blocker for any fat.
And XP.
Yep. That's always the killer, is I just have to, I feel like I need to grind out levels, and I get these questions in the chat all the time, like, how do I power level, bro? That's what I need right now. I have the transaction money, I have the reputation, but I don't have the XP. And
so the answer is you should have been looting the things you needed for mechanic sooner.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very important to look ahead at these items.
Hide the cam for a sec and show the mechanic border for the shotgun here. This is the strat that people use to just complete the shotgun early. There's a trade for 3 red pliers, elite pliers.
2.
You want 2? Oh, it's only 2 now, bro. And a screwdriver. Okay. This shotgun gives you everything you need for the task, with the exception of a pistol grip.
And the pistol grip, you need to keep your eyes peeled because a lot of scavs have it.
Yep, and it's any, like a 153 scav, a 133 scav. I think both of those grips will fit over, right? Maybe not. Maybe I'm cooked.
I failed.
Need to pump
I failed knows the strat. You love to see it.
Oh yeah, he's in on the strat. Yeah, this is the easy way to get the choke for the shotgun. It's also a way technically to complete your prop war task if you're really stressing it. But this is nice.
It's definitely nice.
And so tracking down 2 of these pliers, if you're looking at looking at sashes or looking at like duffel bags from time to time, even scavs will have them. This is an item. Those pliers are something like container. The other thing I've noted is the tool set. Tool sets are needed for the hideout a bunch, and you want to keep that barter in mind because oftentimes you have 1x1 slots just floating around in your inventory, and this is only 1 slot total looting. It's worse than looting the tool set itself, so it's not bad value.
It's definitely not bad value in that regard, and on top of the needs of your hideout, it's also worth noting that you do need 2 of them for a early task that does not provide them.
Okay, hold on for a second. Food question.
3 rolls and dumplings to split, or do you want 4 rolls or dumplings, 2 rolls, and a beef hibachi? Ooh, last option. 2 rolls, dumplings, beef hibachi. Yeah. That sounds delicious, dear. Last option, and we go full splitskis.
Okay, so do you see any need to level mechanic to level 2?
Not Does even in the slightest.
Like a huge thing?
I've never thought that it's a big thing, and I usually do not stress it comparatively.
Yeah, so I think you get a few barters for items to progress your gunsmiths.
Yes.
But these are not mechanically as important
no.
To your survival as other things are, like other traders. So
AK 101
as much.
AK 101.
That's my favorite right there.
She's cute.
AK 101.
She's definitely cute. She does good work. But yeah, nothing crazy. Nothing crazy.
And I mean, there's good things here, but again, this is not your day 1 through 5. No. You're not caring about mechanic level 2. You're caring about mechanic items I need to do the gunsmiths. So what people should do when they're done watching this content is they should come and look at the mechanic tasks 1 through 4 and figure out which items it's going to take to build your guns.
If you look at the wiki, it literally tells you the exact items and what level trader you can get them from.
Yeah, and you can get creative with it. Sometimes you can use an item that's a little bit better just so you get the task done.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's mechanic. We're left with Ragman and Jaeger. Jaeger, semi-important, so let's hit him first.
This is actually that quest, by the way. This is that quest. Farming part 1.
The 2 control boards?
That's correct.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So the way we get the introduction to Jaeger is we do a task for mechanic. Isn't that right?
Introduction.
Is it right there?
I don't know what level you
there
received
it is.
this at.
I can show you. I can look on the quest tree and see what it's.
I'd be curious what it says.
Introduction.
It's available after Gunsmith Part 1. Wonderful.
Yep.
So again, all the more reason, right, to keep your eyes peeled.
Your pliers, you're gimping yourself out of a whole trader worth of loot.
Yeah, an entire trader, which is a really good one too. So
loyalty level 3 Jaeger is sick case.
Yep.
So now we're starting to accumulate lots of these barter items where we're going to be stockpiling these things. Yet another reason that you're going to want a therapist too to get that junk box sooner rather than later, especially for your standard edition boys.
Yep.
For EOD guys, this thing is pretty easy to get if you don't take too many Jaeger rep hits. So what I would recommend is I think if you push the proper or skier task lines too far, you take penalties to Jaeger rep. Don't do that. Instead, get your Jaeger to 3, get your sick case barter, and then you can delete his reputation. Doesn't matter after that.
Just throw it in the trash.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So let's peep at Jaeger now. He has one of my favorite guns in the game in here, and that's the efficient backup bolty.
It is definitely efficient. There's no doubt about that. The price is minimal. The ammo is also.
So this gun is it's like 20K or something, 15K. It is cheap.
So you recommend the FMJ off the top, just for an ammo pairing, right?
I mean,
I don't think you have another option.
I would recommend that you keep your eyes open for good ammo.
Sure, naturally. If you can find the APs, that's wonderful. But
APs, and there's another round that I think is good. I'm blanking on it.
The EKO?
EKO, yeah.
The EKO is good.
They're
EKO is definitely worth keeping your eyes out for.
AP is going to go through level 3 every time.
Yeah.
And the EKO is going to go through level 3 at like 80% or something. It's like not bad odds, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like people are wearing fucked up level 3s in the first couple weeks. It's like, and it's good enough to kill scavs every time. So like, we'll take that, you know?
Absolutely.
This gun is like your cheapest bolt action suppressed with a scope that you can buy.
That's true.
And for a lot of moving safely through a map is being undetected and getting those clean kills for things like your woods, multi-kill tasks, like for prop war. And this is a perfect candidate for filling that.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to keep an eye on that. The other thing here is you get the scope level 1.
You do.
It's like a
you get the scope immediately.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
You do need the 25 millimeter rings, but those are also available.
Yep,
and yeah, I personally like the reticle on this quite a bit. It's very Counter-Strike op, right? It's pretty much dead on, and
yeah, you get your little plus in there. It's good for like those medium range shots where you just need to hit the headshot, and that's exactly what you're gonna be using this gun for.
Yeah,
like you're not taking 100-meter shots at the guy or 200-meter shots. You're taking the 100-meter and less. And like this is where that optic thrives. It'll encourage you not to shoot the long balls because they aren't gonna hit. This gun isn't accurate. Objectively, it's not going to hit the long shot like those other bolties will.
Right. And I think yeah, the main reason for that, just for those who are looking for a deeper understanding of the game, the main reason for that is that bullet velocity, in addition of course to the actual accuracy rating of the gun, the bullet velocity drop off is pretty significant at 580 meters per second when you compare to most other rifle rounds that you're looking at that are almost twice that. So
Yep. So the other thing of note here is you can buy fuel at the Jaeger. I believe it's 2 or 3. But that's not very useful. It's obviously 2 or 3. Try level 2.
So you do get a trade. The trade is available. It's a terrible trade, and I wouldn't really recommend even thinking about it.
Oh yeah, we're not getting a trade.
15 matches. Okay, you gotta go.
Check level 2 for me.
Yeah, to be able to purchase this right there.
We feel good about that. We
Absolutely.
feel real good about buying that big fuel. So that's pretty solid to keep in mind. The other thing is you do get the Hall of Dilnick box. I know you're not big on it. You do have one in your stash. I don't know whether it was purchased or not, but
yeah, I did. I purchased.
You can barter for it.
You can.
And that is something that some people think is relevant to do. I personally do it because I just like having a few of each of the containers.
Right.
And yeah.
Again,
another one
any
of those
container,
things to keep your eye open for.
Any container that you can acquire without having to just shell cash out for on a standard edition is meaningful. So
what's the other thing that's big here? Check the ammo calibers at level 2.
CMS is massive. I think that is. I think this is also locked behind a quest, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to double check that. Worth looking at, but to have it available at level 2 is massive.
I'll check right now.
Great.
CMS.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at your OPSKS, which is Old Faithful, shoots a good, reliable round. The PS is definitely going to do a lot more work than those 3.66s.
No unlock needed.
No unlock needed. Free to purchase. Lovely. So there you go, and that's a banger, obviously. In conjunction with a 5-stack splint, I think that becomes a pretty typical cornerstone of your container from your safety container. So
yeah, even as a you got to go and like survive a raid as a standard edition guy, like being able to buy these and stick it into your not even in your container, in your backpack, and know that if you died, it's not the end of the world on your standard account.
Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah, I think in the current state of the game, the Vepr Hunter is massive. Again, it shoots one of my favorite rounds in the game, which is the M80s. It has a dovetail mount, so PSO adaptable, quite delicious. And yeah, I mean, this thing just literally chunks people. And now we have a suppressor for it, which is even cooler, and an additional SVD style stock. This thing is sick, and it makes a massive difference on the gun. It provides both more erg and less recoil, if I'm not mistaken, than the OG one.
Yep.
That being said, the sup is... I'm looking for that little guy. She's very thin.
I think it might be skier.
Oh, right. It is. So for skier specifically,
probably 2.
That's not it. Yeah, I looked 2. I don't see 2.
Try 3 then. Ugh. So we're not seeing the suppressor for a fucking
minute. It is 3. Yeah, it's quite a way away.
So we can forget about that for early game.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider trying this. Yeah. I still think it's a great gun. This is also, just to be fair, one of the loudest guns hands down to shoot. This is the easiest to hear from super far away. Right in line with the Mosin, so.
Yeah, if you're playing with like a 5-man or a 4-man because you got a bunch of friends and you all like to blast the wipe together, this gun's probably not so bad.
No, definitely worth considering.
Cover you during your reloads. It takes the big bullet. You're going to go through the big guy armor.
Yeah.
And not just get wiped. You do get your Red Rebel barter from Jaeger as well. Mm-hmm. That opens up a bunch of functional extracts on some of the maps. So considering saving your items or buying items early for that Red Rebel barter at level 3 skier is a big deal as well.
And all of these like really interesting barters also really just increases the value of that Lucky Scav junk box. Every single one of these. Definitely worth considering. So
it's also trade-offs. Like if you look at the collection of players that make it to level 15 and can use the flea market but can't buy this item, propane tanks are going to be cheap on the market.
Yep.
Defuels are going to be cheap on the market in comparison to what they'll be in like 3 weeks or 4 weeks. So it might be that like a week and a half in, you're deciding like, hey, I'm going to buy my LEDXs ahead of time. I'm going to buy my sick case and my Red Rebel barter components because I really only need like, I want my LEDXs so I get my big case later. And I want my Red Rebel parts and, I need some things for my hideout. So you invest in these things early before other people have demand for them.
Yeah. And then as an aside, later, like,
it's okay.
I think exactly what you just described is the reason that this game can be so uninviting because of the value that comes from knowledge like that, right? And how much further you can boost yourself ahead and continue on that like exponential curve because in advance, hey, I need this, I need that, and I'm gonna hang on to it, or I'm gonna purchase this early before everyone needs it, and I am going to be a rich man as a result.
So, like most traders we've been looking at so far, Jaeger has ammos. What ammos does he have at level 1 and 2 that are of relevance?
I mean, there's nothing irrelevant about buckshot.
Nothing irrelevant about buckshot.
There's literally nothing.
Shotguns one bit, and they are super important.
Yeah, I think early they're phenomenal. I mean, it's interesting because shotguns have now been moved over to Jaeger from skier.
But you get them from scavs all the time, and they don't require magazines.
That's true. And that being said, so these are different barrel lengths. I want to see where the increased mag size comes into play. So level 2,
in my experience, you get it better from the flea market or get it from scavs you actually kill more than you end up buying the tubes.
Maybe true. Yep. I could see that being the case. I will say that
deadly fraud cannon, that's going to get looted early game, by the way, if you ever build one of those.
for clarity, this 8-round magazine inside of a 153 is deadly.
That's the scariest gun. That's the scariest gun day 1 of the wipe.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
There's no other gun.
And in any kind of CQC or even mid-range scenario, it's really
even
insane.
Mid-range, like no one has a face shield.
I did some dirty things today with this morning on my challenge with a 153 and Magnum buck. There was a scav. I would say it was a player scav on the run, and I one-tapped him like 60, 70 meters easy.
And that's just either he was a little low, which people are going to be in the early game, or you got that double pellet headshot or that triple press, whatever happened.
Yeah, I think I caught the multiple pellet head, and it's strong, man. It's so strong. It's fun to use.
People don't think about it, but like 1 pellet buckshot is like 30 something damage, and like if you bleed for like 10 seconds, heavy bleed for 10 seconds, and you didn't heal your head in between, you're dead in 1 pellet, man.
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely strong, and
equipment change it.
I think that that's even more relevant with all the players that are going to be on the map now, because you're going to have less time in between fights. That's a guarantee. People are going to move on sound. Raids are going to be packed, and I think you probably see some hitboxes that aren't fully healed way more often as a result. So
yep, shotgun, good gun,
very good. And you didn't talk about one of my faves to level early at all yet, Mr. Ragman.
That's the last one. We got any more bullets on Jaeger before we peep? Because Ragman's the most important guy.
I didn't see.
Okay.
Let's look at ammunition. So we're looking. So hollow points are going to be interesting because now they are going to provide the increased frequency of heavy bleed and light bleeding. So that's mildly relevant. These inside of an AK with full auto, I mean, I think we see a decent amount of leg sprayers as a result.
You might also see people who shoot a few shots and they dip away, and they wait for you to just panic and start having to rapidly heal to live, you know?
76239 HP as well, also there. Also there for the taking. Here's where you get your EKO rounds that you were talking about earlier for your backup bolty. And then outside of that, feeling questionable. Everything else. If you have a TT, these LRM PCs are probably decent for your TT needs. But
so EOD guys, you're going to be looking at coming into Jaeger, getting enough rep to buy your big containers, specifically, or not your containers, but your sick case and your Red Rebel. And after that, you can delete his reputation. There is some consideration where you wouldn't take that negative rep early to have to do less tasks for him later.
Yep.
Okay. Most importantly, Ragman. Ragman, in my opinion, is the character that lets you play the game.
100%.
Therapist is too, but Ragman really lets you play the game.
Yep.
Level 1. Right off the hop. What is the first thing you notice about those packets that you can buy?
There's a lot of them.
The thing that I noticed is that you can only buy 5.
Yeah, that's 4 actually is your max.
How many times are you going to die in the first 2 hours of the wipe?
Well, it depends. Am I playing or are you playing?
I'm playing.
I don't know. Maybe more than that. I mean, it's likely that it's more than that.
It's likely. And so if you see the reset going and you have an empty stash on minute 1 and you got a good amount of rubles sitting there and you think you're going to buy a pack of most raids, buy these out.
Yeah, I think this is like a on reset purchase until you hit level 2.
It probably
assuming you're not standard and need this space.
Yeah, I mean, like, helmets early are relevant. Like getting your green penis helmet right away, getting your
this is fire as well, obviously.
This gear here is your staple. This is how you function.
Yeah, and I mean, in a decent, the sling's not awful to roll with. This being level 1 tags is actually huge, so you can actually rock the MBSSs with your low level tags, which aren't going to do a damn thing for you any other way, right? Like slinging them, you're not going to make any money. So early wipe, you get a couple of early kills, you hang on to your tag, you trade them for your MBSS. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, sometimes you are short on backpack space, and backpacks are relevant. I personally just don't loot that much until I'm level 15. And what happens when we hit level 15?
You tell me.
We unlock Ragman level 2.
At which point, you have your green Burke, and you ignore this one because you're not a Pepega who doesn't, and you don't want bright-ass red on your back at all times.
Yeah, you shell out the extra 40%, 30%, whatever it is.
It's worth it every time. If I see you guys wearing this, I'm going to be very disappointed.
What's the other thing we get here?
The best armor in the game for a long-ass time, bucko. This is the be-all, end-all until level 5 armor.
I'll click it. Show people why it's amazing. Feature by feature.
Where to even begin? First and foremost,
buy one.
Say again?
To buy one because we need to see the repair too.
Oh, I see. All right, I have one. You happy?
I'm happy.
Okay. First and foremost for me, having a level 4 armor that is, in my opinion, going to save you money is important. Very important. Early raid, I don't know if you guys noticed the price, but this is generally around the 47k mark.
Yep. That's correct.
And you are looking at a tactical rig in addition to body armor. So you are definitely saving. The savings are there financially. You're also looking at decent space. Not awful at all. There are obviously better ones out there. But I think the space is sufficient for pretty much everything that you're going to be using early.
Yep.
You're not going to be running, like 3-4 magazines in addition to needing your Salewa in there, etc. Right?
Absolutely.
You're just not doing that at this point in the wipe.
And if you are, maybe they're in your container so you can protect your good ammo.
Absolutely. Totally possible. Totally possible to run it that way if you need to. If you're feeling that froggy. The other part is 40 armor points is solid, but more importantly, they detract very minimally upon repair.
So I think if you right click on it and you repair it, we can see how much is lost, roughly. So compare on mechanic that small red bar that we're looking at there to like some of the other 4 armors or 3 armors that you
I'm seeing if we can, trying to think of the best way to show this off. Another
just visually, like look how small that bar moves. It's not very big.
Yeah, I mean I'm looking
like
Karas is now 3 instead of 4, isn't it?
That's fine. It's a good example. Oh, Cross is 3. Yeah, Cross is a good armor. That one's sufficiently repaired too, but like any of the high mobs, your Ford armor, etc., it's you're only losing a tiny bit each time you repair this. It's probably like the armor points aren't that high, but you can repair this armor probably like 3 or 4 times with mechanic. That means you die with the armor 4 times or discard it 4 times before I would think about selling it. Now, it's not going to be the tank armor that absorbs like 5 shots or 6 shots of buckshot. You're going to die. But it will let you win like a fight or 2 here and there, or tank that erroneous scav SKS shot that would normally brick your stomach and kill you.
There's your perfect example.
Ensure every time.
That's the difference. In repairing, it's insane.
And we can't even see the price to repair. But the price is also not that bad.
No.
Yeah, people have them on the flea. There's noobs that sell this armor on the flea market to fence because they don't know they can repair armors, and that's the only spot they can sell it to.
Repair will take 1.7 to 2.8 points of max durability. Repair will take 5.6 to 7.2 points of max durability. Nuts.
Big deal.
Very nuts. So, it's pretty fatty. And I also find that obviously this armor doesn't inhibit my motion at all. I don't know if there's any level 4s. I'm trying to think of other level 4s that may or may not. But I don't feel like that these speed changes are significant at all. This one is more mobile. This one is definitely more mobile. But again, because the material is ceramic, you have those repair issues. So I
would wear this armor clean over almost any armor in the early game.
Yeah,
like absolutely. I'd rather sell a mob that's perfectly clean and buy like 3 of these or 2 of these.
I wonder if we can actually show it.
For a task.
Look at this.
Use this armor.
I mean, that's on fence, but if you were to get a 3 of 40, right? Somebody fenced this. We mechanic. It costs 36k, right? So you're saving, and you have practically a brand new armor. You've lost 0.4, or 2.4, I mean.
And it won't be that cheap on fence in the future.
No, naturally.
Cheaper now. But yes.
But that is, yeah.
You might be spending slightly more for a damaged armor than buying a clean one from Ragman, but that kind of thing when you hit level 10 might be something to keep an eye open for.
True.
So what else do we get at level 2? We also get headphones, right? We get contacts. If
you get regular contacts if you like them. I will say, like, the caveat for ears in general in this game is that you have to find one that works well with your IRL headphones. Their IRL headphones are gonna have a sound profile that will make some sound good and some sound bad, and vice versa.
The other thing to consider is they soften footsteps, I believe. And bush sounds in the wipe notes. Foot, Control F sound, maybe?
Yes,
bush.
They did. In the patch notes, they have decreased footstep sounds and bush sounds in general. So possibly, more applicably, wearing ears is potentially more important so that you can hear people creeping on you.
I think anytime I'm not in a building, I would rather have headphones on than have a helmet on.
Yes, agree.
And just walking and wearing headphones, and meaning that I shoot first with my shotgun against whatever kit you're using, means I'm winning that fight.
That is also true.
And so being able to secure that is a big deal. The other thing is you do get your white armor. Is it barter or is it a buy?
It's a barter. It's a aramid and a ripstop.
How bad is that? Those are probably lootable. At some point you'll have some. You might end up using your level 15 this barter to finish out your skier task.
That would be a very sad reality, I think, but it's possible that you have to resort to that.
So we've gone through the traders, we've looked at what advantages they have, and now I'm going to give you my take on what I think is the most important things to focus on in the first few levels.
Sure.
As an EOD player with your fat starting rep, I think it is important to not set rep back on Jaeger. So don't do tasks that are going to hurt Jaeger a lot. I think it's important to get your car med unlocked through therapist and progress therapist task line naturally. Prop Wars task line I don't think is as important. I think you want to do a couple tasks when you're doing stirrup on skier so that you maintain Prop War level 2, which will get you access to the rubber butt pad and the good PSO.
Yep.
The good PSO, if I recall correctly, is something that sells out really quickly. So you want to be keeping an eye on this reset and buying out your share of these.
It's also worth noting that at level 1, you have the barter available for the exact same one, which is the quote-unquote good one, for 2 spark plugs. So, I think it's worth using your early spark plugs on this and focusing on the Elvira quest, the therapist quest when the time comes.
Yeah, this scope can secure like a successful outdoor shoreline run where you have to take a fight and you see someone
almost every single time. I mean, the advantage is insane. And also to consider for any task that you need to be able to either kill a scav because it's required of you, or you need to farm scavs for items for quests like the 3M or like the Taz's or whatever it may be. Having range against the scav is everything. It literally makes them free kills for nothing. If you have that range, the danger for fighting a scav only exists at close to medium range, and having this 4x makes it non-existent. So this opens up a whole range of possibilities for banging out quest after quest. Any kind of 4x is going to be huge, especially while they're not available to other players. So then take that and put it on top and net your extra PMC kills as well. So
yes, sir. So I think prioritizing level 2 prop war by getting your level up is important. I think getting and focusing on looting items that you need to get your therapist to unlock car meds is important. And I think that progressing towards Ragman level 2 is extremely important.
Yeah.
I am not upset about unlocking Jaeger sooner rather than later because I like using Jaeger's level 2 gear. So for me, progressing mechanics somewhat is important. The other thing is every mechanics gunsmith task is free XP. You can gain it now and be ahead, or you can gain it later and be behind. That's your choice. If you don't want to loot the pliers, you don't want to go out of your way to try to find some of these items, that's on you. But I generally feel like progressing that is huge.
Yeah, it's insanely important. It's not something that I personally like to do on stream, but because I do find it to be, people know what it needs for the most part at this point. But this is something that as soon as I have the level 1 done, I'm going to try and blast through these as far as my level will allow every single time as like a, hey, stream's over, I'm going to do my gunsmith. Because it's that important. Like, I don't play a whole lot of Tarkov stream, but as you can see, I didn't do it at all this swipe. I'm still on Gunsmith Part 4. That being said, I didn't start this wipe until like months after it started. So. And
you XP'd to the point where you were like in the 40s before you even thought about the fact that you needed XP for things.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the only thing that I need XP for at this point, anything that I was looking at was clothing options. But it's fun to play with. You know what I mean?
So we didn't really talk about clothing and all. You do get clothing options from leveling Ragman. It's under his services tab, I believe. Yep. And there are some relevant changes to the bear class specifically that are important.
Yep.
The bear has some really good clothes, like within the first 15 or 20 levels, that are nice and green. His white arms don't stick out anymore with the black shirt. It's like you can't blend in anywhere with that. So getting into his green gear is definitely relevant, and you can do that early.
There is also from today's podcast with Nikita, there are new clothing options that are base for bear. You won't be restricted to black shirt only now.
Oh, that's good to know.
You think there's 2 that you can choose from immediately?
This tan aggressor hoodie, which you didn't buy, but I think is one of the best.
I've rocked the aggressor in the past. I do like it. I think it's cool. I think it looks good. I will say that when I see this on people, I recognize this more than anything as, hey, that's a PMC versus anything else. Mm-hmm. So that was one thing that what kind of kept me from doing it this time around. Honestly, if I really wanted to swag out, it's this guy right here. As an aside, I like that a lot. I'm not saying it's the most tactical, but it's maybe the most tactical. I like the rolled sleeves. Those are dope.
Yeah.
Those are dope.
The plaid on the bear is a plaid. It looks really good.
Yeah, it's dope.
And the hoodie, that's true. So, okay. What else are we looking at here?
I'd like to reiterate the fact that I think that it's super important to focus on your tasks. Don't jump into raid with no objective in mind. If you're going to be utilizing the juice out of your stash, I think it's important to have a clear objective in mind. Try to knock out a task. Try and double up on tasks sometimes. If you feel like that's a possibility for you and you can take 2 in a single raid, man, go for it. Don't do it at the expense of not completing the first one, but sometimes quests can be worked out simultaneous. And also, I think it's really important to note that for any kind of collection task, feel free, if you feel like you're getting behind on your personal inventory, feel free to rock a scav run, man. Scav runs are huge for personal collection.
XP is really important, but money is a blocker for a lot of stuff. We haven't talked about money a lot, but it does block leveling traders once you have the XP.
Mm-hmm.
It blocks buying AP rounds for AKs, right?
Mm-hmm.
It blocks buying broken armors from Fence, which are probably already reasonably expensive.
Yep.
And then repairing them with mechanics so you actually have a workable piece of armor.
Yep.
It blocks your hideout, which is something we haven't touched about at all, but we're going to go there in a moment. So how do we keep our economy up if we're not necessarily surviving every raid? And the answer is you run your scav on cooldown until you have enough stuff to run your PMC on cooldown.
Right.
If you can run your PMC, you should be doing your PMC. Unless if you die on this PMC, you will need to run your scav.
Yeah, for a million reasons. First is that you can actually complete all the tasks on your PMC at all times, not just the collections. So you're progressing, but then on top of that, you're acquiring soft skills. That's super important. You're leveling your character up and you're getting your soft skills so that, not only are you going to be able to level your traders, but you're going to feel good about your comparative strength and endurance and health and all the things that matter to you, 2 weeks, 3 weeks in, versus what everyone else is rocking. If you do non-stop scav runs, your soft skills are never going to be on par. So, important to note. What's important about the hideout, Ted?
The hideout is the best way to passively have income in the game for people that are going to be playing a lot over the break and then more casually as the wipe goes on. So for the next 9 months, you're going to want to progress the hideout. The way we recommend progressing the hideout is buying everything on cooldown at all times. As soon as you're having the flea market, buying the things you need to succeed.
Yeah.
And then getting the upgrade started. So for example, I think you are fully upgraded at this point, but when you did the generator solar upgrade, do you remember how long it took?
Yeah, it was like 60 some hours, I think.
Yeah, that's a long time.
It's a very long time.
But if you're playing Tarkov all the time, having the Bitcoin farm up and running and functioning all the time is really great. And some of these hideout upgrades are important in different ways. So for example, the water collector, which is at requires, I think, level 2 or 3 Jaeger, is something that is really hard for people with standard edition to get because the tasks are hard to do on Jaeger. So like they lose rep through the other task lines, and then Jaeger blocks you from being able to do that. Mm-hmm. And that blocks your workstation or whatever, workbench, which is what you use to craft all your great ammo. So it's like, if you don't lose sight of the hideout early and you get some of these things done before Jaeger gets de-leveled and things like that.
Good point. Get ahead of the curve. Get the other things cooking.
That's a good video on how to invest, how many GPUs to invest in your hideout. I think the Bitcoin thing is like a down the road thing, and in the first 2 weeks, the most important thing you're going to see is if you click on your level 1 med station, the first thing you're going to do when you get into the game is right there. So med station, we got a Cellula creation. It is something that blocks our tasks from being completed. It is ingredients that we can buy from therapists, and it only takes 30 minutes to complete.
Yep. Yeah, they crank. They crank. These are readily available. It is easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Now, the real issue a lot of the time is the gasoline, right?
Yeah, I don't think you need... Do you need a gen to start the meds? I don't even know if you do.
I want to say yes.
Okay. So if you need a generator to start meds, then the strat is to go through and buy everything on your hideout with the rubles, and then get one gas can, turn it on, and start your meds. And if you can't ensure that you're going to be out of raid when that med finishes, just pop it off right after.
Yep.
So you can show the trick yourself, but basically you'd press the power button to turn it on like the state it's in now. You'd start crafting a Cellula. Then you'd wait a few seconds, and then you click your power off button, and that'll only burn 1 tick of power, but the Cellula will complete in like 2 hours as opposed to 30 minutes, so like 4 times slower.
Exactly right. So you go through, you can always, it's just a little tip, if you don't already do this, you can literally right click the item right here in the hideout, which is a great addition that they added. I can start this, I can select that. You can even, you can cheese this. If you have like a 1 of 4 PK, you can hang on to it to be able to use this, right? Use the PK a few times, do that. So always select the one with the lowest. So now you can see it's 31 minutes here, but if I take the power off, we're looking at 3.5 hours. There's nothing wrong with that. So if you're going to go AFK, if you're not going to play, you don't necessarily have to have the power on, right? Let it ride.
This is the, like, you go home for the night, but 1 can of fuel should get you enough to get all 5 of your Cellulas. So people are like, oh, go to loot whatever room to get your Cellulas. Do this. Bro, just get a little bit of money, upgrade all the shit in your hideout to level 1, get the med station going with 1 fuel can, and you're in business.
That's true.
So people might not think like, oh, I should container this 3x2 fuel source in the early wipe. But if you get 1 fuel container,
it's big.
That is your therapist.
It's big, and honestly, like 99.9% of the time, they're relatively free on interchange, I find. So worth thinking about.
2x2s, the 3x2s. And then the gas analyzer, we talked about that as well. You got to keep your eye open for that.
Yeah.
This is not going to get you there.
I like to try and do both at the same time. That's something that I always stack, is that early gas ante and the gasoline on an interchange run. So
how do you find fuels and interchange? That would be in the Oli. Good start.
Oli. Yep. Ollie on the shelving, there's quite, like, I would say that there's arguably like 20 some spawns in the Ollie shelving for the gas. So running around and just being aware. That being said, the gas analyzer specifically spawn on the shelves near the registers. That spawn has been cut down significantly than what it used to be. I've actually been finding more gas analyzers in all the tech stores than anything else.
Yep.
So
it used to be that front spawn, but now we're looking at
Techna, Techlight, Rasmussen, and then the one that's across from Mantis that I can't remember the name of. And that's pretty much it. And if you check there, the odds of you finding a gas analyzer are super high. So
yeah, and that's like a reasonable scav raid. I mean, you don't want to. The thing about scav raids initially is, everyone's poor, everyone's trying to keep their economy up.
Yeah.
And scav raid queues can be pretty long. People playing in groups are waiting for each other, so your PMC raids are not flowing as fast as they should be. So your queues might be pretty long. So if you're finding the interchange queues are like, 15 minutes or something, bro, just get a PMC and queue in there and get in there.
Yep. I hear you. Tell you what, man, that's a lot of good information, Ted.
I'm feeling pretty good about things. Is there anything that I missed? So I think the big things are, if you're standard, you're gonna need to progress prop war, because containers are extremely OP in keeping your economic situation stable, and I would recommend getting your Epsilon.
So to expand on that idea, so Epsilon is good. You do have to be you have to survive a raid for something to come out, find and raid now, so that you can sell it. So you're really looking at only really pocketing things that vendor well. So I think that that's important to note this time around.
Also hideout, also some task.
Right. So items that you need to get out that do not require FIR, very much worth gamming. And then even after that, right, consider their vendor worth. Also, really the number one way to stay economically balanced, in my opinion, is to if you can figure out a way to maintain proper space, you don't have to sling things for less than they're worth to you to use, if that makes sense, right? So if you can avoid having to sling things because space is tight, you don't have to go ahead and then buy it again later when you actually need it to use it, right? Because that's going to lose you money every single time.
At the same time, though, you do need to progress traders. So buying and selling something that you're going to reuse later for space now is not the worst if you would have had to buy and sell anyways. So for Ragman, we do it a lot where you buy and sell like 40 helmets,
right,
over and over again to level them up.
Yep, because especially from level 1, you are going to be buying one of each of these pretty much every single raid if possible. But I do find that he is one that I have to cheese in that regard, if you want to call it cheese, to buy and sell.
A full kit from Ragman's like 60K. You get the helmet, you get the headphones, you got the balaclava and the paca. It's not cheap. You also need the bank robber. So it's like, it's not cheap to get all that stuff together. So, how many raids you have to do it. It's probably not going to all add up. It's okay to resell some things to him and then rebuy them back when you get level 15.
Sure.
But I would keep all your level 4 armors. Don't be selling those. But anytime I can sell a rig and use a smaller rig, I always do it.
Yeah.
Because I find that more likely than not, my goal is to get a few kills on AI, get some items for my task progression, fill my container with items that I don't want to lose, and then get out.
And sometimes those extra empty slots also tease you into staying in longer than you're welcome. So,
or it's just more things to diddle with and you die looting.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, knowing when to get out is like a very important thing. I think that's a pretty it's an important concept, but it also is one that requires a lot of experience.
So week 1 progression, the things that you're looking for are early task items for therapist, early task items for skier, early task items for Jaeger.
Yep.
And then you're looking for quest keys for therapist.
Yep.
She has the 206 key, and the customs key is for Who needs customs? She need customs? No, customs is just prop war, I think.
It's just
so that's another one.
There's another one later that requires
we need
it as well.
Financial gains. We need financial gains so that if we have EOD or standard, we're going to have to be buying and selling things extra. We want to be able to go in with some armor on our kit, you know?
Yeah.
We also need to make sure we're getting XP. If you're only running scavs to progress things, that could be fine initially, but at some point you're going to have to start running PMCs to get your level up.
Yep.
And we're going to need to be blasting PMC raids one after another. Being able to live with things like an AK for multiple raids in a row will mean 5 to 10k XP over and over and over again. Just because you can laser beam people with it, man. Just hold down the trigger when a guy's kind of close to you and they're dead. They don't have armor.
Yep. Yeah, and this is the first key that Ted mentioned. The first thing he said was 206.
Yeah. So, and again, like, the other thing about scavs is, like, if you have a shit scav and you just get in there, run it quick on, like, a map, like, I guess a lot of people are probably going to be playing woods because of the expansion, so it might be okay to smash woods a bit. I think people like scabbing on reserve, but not as many people PMC on reserve early.
For sure, definitely not.
I think there was a strat last league where you could, last wipe, where you could do a bunch of early reserve runs and wipe scav boss or raiders repeatedly.
Sure.
In order to get high tier armors, like tier 3, 4, 5 armors.
Yep.
I've heard rumblings that that is disabled. I would need to see some written confirmation to see whether that.
Right. It'd definitely be interesting.
Like the specific dangerous AI.
Any early wipe card gamble for you? Into any forays into the labs? You slanging a card, or you giving her a whirl?
I don't think I'm personally running labs because IFAKs were nerfed. That's the big change for me.
Sure. Yeah, no heavy bleeds, so they're definitely way less relevant.
I'm finding AP ammo is fine to get if I just buy 74 U's to level prop.
I think the real juice is the armor.
The armor, I mean, level 4 armors are big, but, you know, again, I don't think I'm running labs before I'm level 15.
Yeah, I hear you.
I mean, it is really good XP, though. If you can get in and
it is great XP. That's another huge advantage. You can kill some raiders off.
Full like 10k while dying or something, you know. It's pretty huge. And people are like jackets for keys and stuff. I mean, you really only need 206 key for the first 15 levels.
Yep.
Maybe the customs key too.
Both of which spawn in scav backpacks and pockets, so.
Super common, yeah.
Very common.
And if you're lucky, people be fencing them too. But that's some scuffed shit. The other thing is, you know, guys, don't be afraid to play in groups. Like, insurance, being able to discard your friend's gear to insurance and sell it back the next day is like the same thing as running a few scav raids the next day. Yep. You just get that back for free, man. Like, I'm sure I'm gonna be coming out of raids with like 5 P226s a bunch of times early wipe when I'm surviving in a raid. And yeah, you aren't getting those back, but if people bring in 5 P.A.K.As, I can't carry 5 P.A.K.As out. You're getting it back, you're repairing it, it's basically good as new again.
Yep.
Until you get to level 15, ensuring everything is really important. Playing with a group is really important.
Ghost Freak went reserve, killed Gluhar, got an Alton and a Slick from him and his guards. Then he went without death for 13 days.
Yeah, I mean, that guy's a nutter, for sure. And if you find that you, number 1, the scavs are enabled there, number 2, you can win the fight, and number 3, you're as good as Ghost Freak, then that's probably your go-to strategy again. Because not dying for 13 days means you're probably getting a lot of XP and doing all your tasks.
Should have that one in there at the end, huh?
Yeah. That's a good strat. It's a good strat. Yeah, we should put that. Yeah, we should put that near the map, actually. Don't die for 15 days. If you don't die, that's actually of note. Not dying.
Can you give advice if you can't even take said advice? Like, because I feel like I can't put that forward because I'm not as good as Ghost Freak.
I'm trying to see you try not to die in this wipe.
No dying, huh?
Markstrom's a big feed for the content kind of guy.
I am.
Where like he wants the 110% raid.
That's why me and Deadly get along so well.
Yeah, but I'm about the like don't die for 13 days. Unless like I start to lose a fight kind of thing. Where, you know, if you hear 5 people yeeting at you and it means you just have to sit in a bush and let them pass, like that's life, you know.
I'm shooting every time, Ted. I'm shooting every time, Ted. I refuse not to.
I know, but we both know that if like the average players in that situation, they should not be shooting if their goal is.
But bro, what if I wipe them? That's content. That's YouTube. Ted,
talk to me in 2 weeks when you're behind in the wipe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, so that's the MO. Like keep the raids short,
Yeah.
one goal at a time. When you're on your scavs, you're looking for items you need to progress your hideout or money to progress your hideout, and outside of that, you're trying to get XP on your PMC, get your tasks done. That's even more XP.
Yep.
If you're on standard, you're trying to progress your prop or task line, and just using it. You be efficient. Use the efficient armors. Use the efficient guns. Sometimes what it means a 4x. Sometimes that means just putting a dot on something so you can get the shot more easily.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people fiddling. There's going to be a lot of people who need to loot everything. And there's going to be a lot of people who are doing tasks and have to like pick up a certain item or open a certain door. There's going to be a lot of opportunities that present themselves for free and clear shots. And I think it's important to think about that before you're pulling the trigger. I think it's important to practice a little trigger discipline because it's just, there's going to be more opportunities for a freebie. So.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people playing right now during the holidays. The servers will not be great. This is another reason why, you know, maybe the Mosin's slightly worse than the auto equivalents.
Yeah.
You know?
Is this the sweat version of getting ahead or just general tips and tricks? I think we got pretty sweaty in the plan. We definitely got pretty sweaty.
You don't think the general tips and tricks are like get 15, buy the good armor from Ragman, unlock your car med, buy attachments from level 2, prop ore that are efficient. That's pretty.
Yeah.
Anyone can summon that.
Yep.
Buy the good green backpack instead of the one that's got the big red square on it.
There you go. Tips and tricks.
Do your hideout. Get your cellos from the hideout.
Do the hideout. Things of this wipe is during the holidays. Plenty of people with time to spare. Hope they took that into consideration. The servers won't die. Oh, they will. Yeah, I think tomorrow's gonna be a mess, man. But I think you know, regardless, it'll be a fun mess. Smile. I think people will be hyped. I think people will be in good spirits. You know, literally, the last time this game wiped, it began a global pandemic. So, you know, maybe this wipe does away with it. Smile. You never know. You never know, chat.
Smile.
Say that again.
Or get another juicy mutation.
Or we could get a really juicy mutation. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's totally possible. So time will tell. Time will tell how Nikita's feeling. Ted, thanks for the info.
It's going to be an exciting day. And for those of you that have the time to play over the next couple weeks, it'll be an exciting couple weeks.
It's true. I'm looking forward to it.
I guess the only thing I would add that we didn't really talk about a lot are like the value of things being automatic versus semi-auto and the advantage to moving around instead of standing still. We didn't talk about those things a lot, but they're really important. There's a lot of idiots that can hit a pistol headshot when you're standing still.
Yep.
And there's very few people that can hit it at mid-range when you're moving.
That's very true. And the amount of third partying that's going to occur is huge. So if you're going to stand still, have some cover. Simple.
Yep. You're tabbing to right click on your med and your container. Like, if a guy has his crosshair being ready to point at you, he will, and he's reasonable at the game, he's going to click. Yep. So, all right, man.
GG's. I appreciate it. I look forward to it.
You guys have a good run at the early days here.
You gonna get in there, Ted?
It's not out of the realm of possibility.
Noted.
But if you said, I told Tumble asked me earlier if I would be getting in there, and I told him he asked me the wrong question. Like the right question is there a chance I won't be getting in there?
No.
And I think that there is a chance I won't be getting in there.
No, stop that. That's not what I want to hear.
There's a chance. You never know. Hey, man, new job. Busy couple months here.
Yeah.
We'll see. One day at a time.
All right, brother.
GG's.
GG. I'll catch you, man.
Later.
Guys, that's Tedward, a.k.a. Teddy, a.k.a. the T-Stod. Good guy. Always nice to talk through strategy with. Always nice to talk through strategy with. He's my strategist. Thanks, Ted.